Donald Trump has stated he is still willing and ready to use the Insurrection Act if he is unable to get control over what's going on in several of these states, such as California, Oregon, and Illinois. Now, over the past weekend, something particularly alarming occurred, but kind of flew under the radar. Feds deployed tear gas in Chicago, and it is being asserted by the liberals and the far leftists in the state that they did this in defiance of a court order. You see, a judge had ruled that feds cannot indiscriminately use riot control methods such as pepper balls or tear gas. The feds did use this, and is being claimed by the left they did not give a warning, which violates the court order. Now, y'all may be saying, Tim, I'm sure these men did give a warning. The left is lying. But as I've often stated, the truth doesn't matter to a partisan. What will happen now is that partisan left in Illinois will just flatly believe ICE is evil, has always been evil. Of course, they're in violation of a court order. ABC 7 is now asking the question, what do we do? What happens next when the feds tell the judges they have no authority to stop them? Now, a question that we asked last night with Peter Navarro, as we're discussing the bifurcation of politics in this country. Why is it that when Donald Trump, as president, does something legal, a judge can do something illegal and Trump will abide by it? And you all know this. You've seen it. Right now, a judge has said that Trump can federalize the Illinois National Guard, but he cannot deploy them. Well, let's just pause there for a minute. Trump can federalize the National Guard. He has the authority to do so as the president. And of course, he can issue lawful commands. What about telling a National Guardsman to stand at a building is outside of the control of the president? Thus, it seems patently obvious that a judge who recognizes Trump can federalize the National Guard, even Chris Christie agreed with Trump. He can do it. Yet for some reason, he's constrained and can't give a lawful order to simply stand somewhere. It's obvious. The judge has issued an order outside of the authority of the judiciary. Why then must Trump oblige? And who breaks first? This is the question that I think we should all ask ourselves. When do we think that line will break? It may be now. I think there's fair reason to believe the feds deployed tear gas without warning. I've been in numerous riots myself over a decade, and rarely, if ever, do the police say, heads up, everybody, we're going to use tear gas. That just doesn't happen. Sometimes they do. They'll say this is an illegal gathering. This assembly or gathering has been deemed unlawful. You are now being instructed to leave. They'll do this over the LRAD device, megaphone. Well, if this is the case, we are now entering, and it's always ever so slightly, the threshold. We are surpassing that line where Donald Trump or the feds or otherwise are saying what the judge says does not apply or matter. It doesn't need to be so overt, like a judge says, don't you dare use tear gas and say, I'm going to do it anyway. It can be, you can't use tear gas unless the feds then say, well, we met that threshold. The judge then says no. What happens in California? In 2026, in January, a new law will go into effect where federal law enforcement cannot wear masks. The DOJ, DHS has already instructed their personnel to defy the law and continue wearing their masks. Will these states try to enforce laws against federal law enforcement? That's the question that's being asked. We're going to talk about that and a lot more. Of course, the usual suspects are coming out saying civil war. Not just myself, the experts like Barbara F. Walters, giving interviews blaming the right for the rhetoric around Charlie Kirk's death. I kid you not. And then we have what I believe to be the best example of why we are entering a truly dark period. A congressman in Illinois is asserting that a video showing a young woman being arrested is a new video of a 15-year-old immigrant girl being arrested by ICE. However, according to numerous reports, this is a year-old video of a woman wanted for felony robberies being arrested by local police. The problem? Nobody knows. And whatever you think to be true doesn't matter. Why? Because a member of Congress has come out, issued a formal statement saying, no, it's true, ICE attacked a teenage girl. Well, AI says otherwise. They say there's timestamps and evidence from DHS proving that this is in fact an old video of a criminal being arrested in Chicago by local police. But the truth does not matter to partisans. Now, before we get started, my friends, we got a great sponsor for you today. It is KetoBrains with a Z.com/Timcast. Check it out. KetoBrains is a highly effective nootropic stack with functionally relevant doses of key nootropics and a delicious, creamy, ketogenic C8 MCT-based keto creamer. Before KetoBrains existed, time and money went into building the perfectly dialed morning beverage. Scoop of this, scoop of that, capsules everywhere, messy counters for optimal brain performance. A 1-month supply of each ingredient found in KetoBrains at functional doses can be at least $140 a month, but KetoBrains Nootropic Creamer delivers the perfectly constructed nootropic stack and keto creamer in one scoop at $49.99 for 30 servings. Change your brain, change your life. Lasting change begins and ends with a balanced and functional brain. KetoBrains solves for simplifying the morning routine. Ketone-stimulating coffee plus full doses of key nootropics in one scoop. No mess, no pills. One scoop is a full serving with no dosage tricks. 30 doses per package. Use code TIMCAST for free brass knuckle mug. Oh, that's funny. With any creamer purchase or orders over $49. Visit KetoBrains with a Z.com/Timcast. Link in the description below. And don't forget to join our Discord server. Look at this. We like Ian so much, we got 2 of them on the screen. Join the Discord server, and you'll get access to our Discord community. Go to timcast.com, click Join Us. You'll hang out with tens of thousands of individuals. We've got community events. We've got official newsletters giving you the laydown on what is going on, plus pre-shows, after-shows. More importantly, community is everything. This is how Antifa and the far left are able to organize, because they have these networks. I implore you, support the work we do, and also you will help build those networks. Now, we have this story from the Chicago Sun-Times. Feds deploy tear gas in another Chicago neighborhood. A federal judge's temporary restraining order requires federal agents to issue 2 warnings before using riot-control weapons, such as tear gas. Witnesses say they didn't get any warning Sunday afternoon. Well, why would I go ahead and believe these far-left wingnuts? I wouldn't. Would you? Maybe you would. I don't know. But they are saying it. They're also saying we chased federal agents out of Albany Park today. Guys, you have locals, terrorists, far leftists in Chicago attacking federal agents and bragging about it. What time do you think it is? Here's ABC 7. What happens if federal agents defy court orders? Experts weigh in on arrests and crowd control tactics. We have this video from ABC 7. Let's play tape.
We're trying to answer the question, what happens if federal agents refuse to follow court orders? And the answer isn't good. Allegations this weekend of federal agents not following rulings from judges prohibiting certain crowd control tactics, and questions today over potential unlawful arrests. During an interaction with immigration agents in Northwest Side Albany Park Sunday, video appears to show agents deploying tear gas against the public without any audible warning, something that is unlawful under a court order from last week.
Leave them alone!
Immigration agents outside of a church in Rogers Park Sunday during a Spanish-language mass. Questions tonight over whether they had warrants targeting specific people or were there without warrants, something that requires additional probable cause and an assessment of an immigrant's flight risk.
What we have seen now on a much larger scale is federal agents indiscriminately stopping and arresting individuals without warrants and without probable cause required by federal immigration laws.
A fence still up around the Broadview ICE facility, restricting access to a public road tonight after a judge ruled it should be taken down. The deadline to do so is tomorrow night. But what happens if...
I'm going to pause real quick. That actually is tonight. They were instructed to remove a protective barrier on an ICE facility where people have been rioting for, what, a couple weeks now?
Federal agents refuse.
I am very worried about where we are right now. We are on the precipice looking into the abyss of chaos. If somebody says the judiciary makes a decision and then the executive branch ignores it, That's chaos.
Former federal prosecutor Ron Safer says federal judges can rule according to the law. But if the executive branch, in this case federal agents, refuse to follow those rulings, judges don't have an army to enforce their orders.
Normally, judges enforce their ruling by contempt orders, and then the person who is violating the order is fined or imprisoned if it's bad enough. How do you do that to a cabinet-level official? And who is going to enforce that?
At that point, the Constitution and American norms require the executive branch to enforce itself, something Safer is skeptical the president will do.
It is norms that presidents will respect the decisions of the courts, that they will respect the views of the governors. That's out the window. And that is going to create and is creating crises on the streets and in Washington and across the country.
Now, the I-Team reached out to ICE about the incident in Albany Park. We have not heard back, but whatever party is in power, the courts are the answer for potential government overreach. But the enforcement doesn't come from the courts. If you're talking about the federal government, it comes from the federal government itself.
Let's just take a look at where we're currently at. There's a fence put up around the Broadview ICE facility because it's been targeted by rioters. These are not people that are just standing by holding up signs. These are people that have actually beaten vehicles and attacked people. Now, I'm not going to pretend like it's the worst riots we've seen in 50 years, but it's a riot nonetheless. You can't surround a vehicle banging on it and screaming and obstructing the roadway and call that a peaceful assembly because you're literally obstructing law enforcement. So they put up barriers. The courts have said no. In Portland, when they boarded up their windows, the ICE facility, to protect the glass, the local police, I suppose it was, the zoning association, whatever you'd call it in Portland, they were fined for a violation of zoning, saying you have to remove the boards from your windows. Guys, it is so insanely obvious what is going on. The most annoying thing about this is the I'm not touching you strategy in the conflict. The left holding their hand up to the face of an ICE agent, figuratively going, I'm not touching you. I'm not touching you. We get it. That's why they're putting up barriers. And the judge goes, no, take the barrier down. It'd be like if your sibling was doing the I'm not touching you thing with the hand in your face, and the cops were like, they're allowed to do it. They're certainly not allowed to do it. ABC7 reports, judge orders feds to dial back aggressive response to journalists and protesters in the area. This from October 10th. This was the ruling in question where they said you can't just tear gas or pepper ball people. They have to give 2 warnings. Now, to be honest, just give the warnings, I guess, right? That's why I'm kind of not trusting the left when they say they didn't receive a warning. But take a look at that video and what we're seeing right now. The American people elected Trump, and they want immigration enforcement. I don't think people understand what's going on. And, look, as I mentioned, I was in Phoenix, I was in Austin, and for the average person, when they go outside, they go to the grocery store, everything seems normal. Nothing's really happening. There's no political conflict. That is quite incorrect, as I've pointed out a million times with being in Egypt and things like that. Now, you, as a conservative, can go into Chicago and largely be fine despite being someone of the opposing ideological persuasion. But what do you think would happen if you wore a Trump flag and wore a MAGA hat? Now, for the most part, you'd probably still be fine, but you may find yourself getting threatened, and you actually have a very high chance of getting physically attacked. It's kind of crazy, but it's true. Walk down, go to Lakeview. Go to, I don't know, how about Broadway, or how about, let's go to, I don't know, Broadway and Addison or something. Maybe, yeah, we'll just say that. Wear your MAGA hat, wear your Trump flag, walk around and see what happens. You're probably going to get a lot of people causing you grief. Now, to be fair, I don't know, maybe in that area you might get a mixed bag, but it's probably super far left. The point I'm making, ICE is going in and enforcing law against an occupying force. That's it. ICE represents the constitutional republic. CBP and ICE agents going in and arresting people. They say, without warrants. The new lie they've created is that you need a quote-unquote judicial warrant. because they're making the argument that immigration courts don't count because they operate under the executive branch. But immigration is constitutionally under the executive branch. So, yes, that's what happens. And probable cause is simple. You'll be stopped by DHS. They will say, are you a citizen? Are you here legally? And if you are, what happens in that video we just watched? They walked away. How remarkable. Am I supposed to be angry that I walked down the street and a nice guy comes up and says, howdy, you got an ID on you? Yes, sir, I certainly do. Ask me some questions about, look, I'm an American. I appreciate I've had it happen to me before. Not even in the most tumultuous of times. The problem is the Biden administration brought in upwards of 20 million in the high estimates. And these people are now occupying our cities. So what happens? The people you see on the streets screaming Ayúdame, this is the most shockingly offensive and rage-inducing thing. I got to tell you, this video where the cops are trying to detain a guy and he's screaming Ayúdame, he's basically saying your law enforcement means nothing, your community means nothing, and he is yelling to the other illegal immigrants, help me. And the bystanders do help him. This doesn't end well. Let's take a look at where we're at. Fox News reporting today. Trump once again. The headline says Trump floats using Insurrection Act to combat Chicago crime. Says Pritzker should beg for his help. The argument we keep hearing from the left is that Trump's wrong about what's actually going on. I think we got this from CNN. Trump's claims about violence are falling apart in court. The issue isn't the overt violence. It's the obstruction. It is that we are dealing with an occupying force that does not view itself as American, hates the United States of America. So what do? I want to show you this video from Andy No. He says, or actually this post, on October 11th, Portland police arrested 2 conservatives near the ICE facility. A conservative activist was struck in the head with what appears to be a rock. He fell to the ground. The suspect fled and got away. While in the hospital, Andy, the assault victim, Brian Wesley Crowell Drogged, was criminally cited by police for 4th-degree assault, although it's unclear for what incident. Separately, a man named Harold Alston Smith was arrested and charged with 4th-degree assault. He allegedly got into a physical scuffle with a leftist woman who confronted him. The woman was not arrested. My point, I brought this up yesterday, is that people don't seem to understand. When you go to Portland, you are entering enemy grounds. The police are not arresting conservatives. They are subduing enemy partisans who are attacking their home. Now you may be saying, that's an absurdity. The people are just filming. They're going there to film and support the police. Portland police have been instructed already, according to numerous reports, to collect information to criminally prosecute federal law enforcement officers. You going there are aiding this foreign invasive force in their land. People really don't get it. The police have arrested numerous conservatives. Nick Sorter got attacked, they arrested him. Katie Davis Court got bashed in the face by a pole, and the police refused to intervene. And people are acting like they're surprised because conservatives haven't figured it out yet. It's been this way for some time, but these people, including the cops, can we just separate right now so you can try to understand this? You, dear viewer conservative, not all of you, but many of you, seem to think that these people fly the American flag and are Americans. They fly the Progress Pride flag. What would you do? Honest question. If a cartel member crossed into the country illegally and started defending illegal immigrants, you'd say arrest them both. Okay, right? That feeling you have where you're like, how dare you enter my country illegally, is the feeling the Portland police officers have when you, conservative, come into their state. They say, how dare you invade my home? People are shocked to find that Portland police, who are communists, are arresting conservatives. This is the creation of parallel factions in this country. A nation is not its territory, it is its people. And this is evidenced by the fact that Texas, westward expansion, manifest destiny. It didn't matter where the people were. It mattered that when people moved into these areas, those areas became part of that nation because it was its people. In the United States, you have two nations, the multicultural democracy of America and the constitutional republic of America. Now, let me show you what the multicultural democracy individuals say about you. Are we headed for a second civil war? The Bulwark. This is Barbara F. Walters. She believes we are. Here's their podcast.
I recently wrote an article. I have a Substack newsletter, and it was about Charlie Kirk and why Charlie Kirk was not our Reichstag moment, but why a lot of people...
Reichstag? As if to imply a world war or an invasion would happen? Do you mean Fort Sumter? Whatever, I digress. Let's play more.
People thought it was. So Charlie Kirk's murder was really, I think, quite shocking to America, to the media. My email went crazy. My phone went off the hook. Everybody suddenly wanted to know, is this the start of a civil war? Is this the start of something big? And I think Charlie Kirk's murder, we've had assassinations like that over the last few years. Political violence has been increasing here in the United States since at least 2008, pretty consistently. But I do think there was something different about this particular case. And it really had everything to do with how the country reacted to it, not the killing per se. And there were three things that were really different. And then I'll tell you why I don't think this is actually the moment. The first thing that was different is that when something like this happens, when Giffords was shot, when Republican congressmen were shot playing baseball, when the Wisconsin state legislatures were shot. The country came together, and that included our political leadership. So Democrats and Republicans all came together in the immediate aftermath of that and said, we need to unify. We need to condemn this violence. And they did condemn the violence. That didn't happen with Charlie Kirk.
She's correct. Leftists went out and celebrated, posted videos saying it was great. A man was cheering in the crowd. AOC, the leading Democrat, went on the House floor to condemn Charlie Kirk within like a week of his being murdered. So she's right? Well, guess what she says. Immediately,
you had Laura Loomer and Elon Musk and Donald Trump saying this is a sign of how evil the left is.
Because the person accused of killing Charlie Kirk shared ideology with mainstream Democrats, and they were celebrating his death.
And we're gonna hit back, and we're gonna hit back hard.
No one ever said that. Perhaps to be fair, if she's paraphrasing, many people said it's time for the use of law enforcement to go after these criminal elements. But you see how they see the world? It doesn't matter what you think. You are not convincing this woman that she has done anything wrong. She is happy that they are celebrating the murder of Charlie Kirk. It doesn't matter to her that they're doing it. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter that you know they're doing it. It doesn't matter that your response was actually stop celebrating murder. To her, how dare you criticize us? That's what she's saying. We are cooked with people like this and outlets like this being the worldview of the left. You tell me, because I hope and I pray and I beg that I'm wrong. But how have we come to this point? Because these people are psychopaths. They don't care what's true. They don't care about the escalation. Most of them want the conflict. And the immediate response to the murder of Charlie Kirk was not a riot. It was a memorial where people prayed and called for the legitimate use of law enforcement. Like when I made the video an hour after Charlie was murdered and I said cooler heads must prevail, law enforcement needs to handle this. And we found that this man's ideology is aligned with the mainstream Democratic Party. AOC goes on the House floor and says, yeah, well, Charlie Kirk was a bad guy. MSNBC had to fire a guy because he said, I'm paraphrasing, when you speak hate, expect actions against you. That was their response. So how dare we say you guys are psychopaths? And she's blaming us for the escalation? Lord have mercy.
Rather than using this as a moment of peace to unify the country, it was used as a battle cry, and that's really disturbing.
Let me pause you there. Let me pause you there, because it's used as a battle cry for vengeance among people in power or proximity to power.
Right.
I want to clarify that in the immediate aftermath of that shooting, the Democrats uniformly, high-level Democrats uniformly condemned it.
Yes.
High-level Democrats, this is correct. Hillary Clinton, I believe, Barack Obama, a handful of prominent personalities said the shooting was wrong, except in the cultural space, they said, but Charlie was a bad guy. On the House floor, AOC says, we will not defend Charlie Kirk's views, speech as a person. The funny thing is, AOC hated Charlie Kirk over lies and smears that have been repeated over and over again for the same reason the alleged assassin did.
Condemned political violence, offered prayers for Charlie Kirk and his family, despite a long history of disagreements. And I'm talking about Barack Obama, Hakeem Jeffries, Kamala Harris, on and on and on. So, internet mobs.
I just want to prove them wrong, just because this is what we're here to do. MSNBC fires analyst Matthew Dowd over Charlie Kirk remarks. Dowd said the slain activist's words may have fueled the violence that claimed his life. Well, what he said was, when you say these things, expect the actions to be taken against you.
Can't be held accountable. It's really about people in power and people with platforms. And it does need to be said that Democrats were swift and uniform in their obvious and rightful condemnation of political violence.
And that's
so what is her argument? Honest question. The alleged assassin wrote Bella Ciao, which is an Antifa song, on the bullet used that was in the chamber. Hey, fascist, catch was one of the things written on the bullet and scraped. He didn't say engraved, but engraved it into the bullet. So when a left-aligned individual that is being celebrated and praised by young liberals all across social media does this, and the right's response is we have to start arresting these criminal elements and those sending death threats, they say, oh no, it's a civil war. Understand this. When they kill you and you say, guys, let's use a legal apparatus to stop this, they say you're attacking us at civil war.
A really important point to make, that what you're seeing is one party here in the United States using a moment like this to vilify the left and to paint it as evil and to paint it as a real
Charlie.
Threat to America.
Celebrated his death. Everybody knows people were getting fired from their jobs. These are the wackaloons. I will tell you this. Barbara F. Walters knows she's lying. There's no reality in which someone who's doing this research and trying to track the statements from all sides to figure out what's going on is ignorant to these facts. She knows.
And so to get back to the Reichstag analogy, one of the challenges that democratically elected politicians who want to become autocrats have, and Hitler, for example, was democratically elected. He was quite popular in Germany when he came to power. But one of the challenges that these types of politicians have is that they still are operating in a democracy. And so they can slowly and secretly sort of weaken all the democratic institutions. They can eliminate some of the guardrails.
Listen, guys, you listen to a woman like this, and I'm sorry. Anyone who's paying attention in any meaningful way knows exactly what's happening. Trump was arrested. Several times. His lawyers were arrested. False charges were presented against them. The Democratic establishment, the administration, not only accused Donald Trump of being a traitor, but also maligned, I'll take this one personally, opposition media, including me, Benny Johnson, Dave Rubin, with a fake story about Russian funding, which at the time we all knew was patently absurd and fake because we have no investment at this company. It's all been independently grown and organically developed over time. Certainly, there have been challenges, and I've had to navigate censorship and things like that. We had a licensing agreement with a company based out of Nashville. The Biden DOJ launched a fake investigation. It's fake. They did clever things to make it seem like Tenet was secretly part of some Russian operation, which is false. shut the company down without investigation. YouTube deleted all of our videos without any proof of anything actually having happened. And within about a month and a half of that claim being launched, they stopped investigating. I know because I had 2 different legal teams communicating with the FBI at the time under the Biden DOJ saying, we're going to see this one all the way to the end. And they said, you know what? We've changed our mind. Don't worry about it. We're done with this. And I was shocked to find, not really, in December, that I was informed there is no case. They will not be pursuing this. It's over. And I said, what do you mean? What do you mean it's over? Are they going to announce this to the public? Are they going to say there's actually no evidence and we're dropping the case? They didn't. Because the whole point was an October surprise where they target their political enemies, be it Trump's lawyers, Trump himself, his confidants and associates, or simply opposition media. That's how dangerous and insane things have gotten in this country. To hear these women's words, I hope you're paying attention. Now, to actually better help understand this, we're going to be joined by, I believe we've got Mike Benz, who will be joining us in just about a minute. So smash that like button, share the show with everyone you know. Stay tuned, my friends. That interview will be up for those watching the a recorded version of this at 4 p.m. at youtube.com/Timcast and rumble.com/theculturewar. Check that out for everybody watching live. We're going to get to that in a second. So follow me on X and Instagram at Timcast, and we'll see you all then.